In this case, good morning. This video is being filmed on September 26th, Saturday, at approximately 11:35. So, welcome again to another comment video. We do not have as many comments as we did last week, but we do have some comments from some new viewers. So, that is good. Thank you very much for watching. In case you are coming across this for the first time, this is basically my way of saying thank you for watching the videos, and also basically directing where you want the conversation to go. Whether you want to talk about how much the videos stunk, or how they're cool, or you want to talk about how the Seahawks are doing, or bring up a different sport, which is actually what some of our comments today actually talk about. This is the opportunity for you to lead the discussion. So, we will start out with, so again, I post this on Facebook, on YouTube, and Twitter, even though I don't really get any following on Twitter, but I did post it there if you want to check it out. So, anyway, we'll start with Facebook. Now, I have to put this first comment in context for you, because when I finally did get the video uploaded, I filmed really late on Sunday night, and, so it was uploading, and I wasn't willing to stay up hours upon hours into the night just to make sure it was good. So I ended up getting up early in the morning, and I went to my computer to see that it uploaded. It did. I wrote the descriptions and wrote the titles and what have you, and I posted on Facebook. Now, when I posted on Facebook, as well as YouTube, but when I posted it on Facebook, I said, instead of saying recapping week 2, I had a little typo. I said recapping weed 2. In which case, my buddy Deshaun from the Average Joe's Sports blog took full advantage of that and decided to do a little Deshaun check, not spell check, Deshaun check. That's for you, buddy. And his comment was, Weed 2? LOL. My response to him was Weed Week, which was the reference to a radio show in Seattle on 99.9 KISW, known as the Men's Room. And I changed the sentence from recapping week 2 to recapping week 2. So either way, Deshaun, thank you very much for commenting. You made me laugh, and thank you very much for the spell check. Greatly appreciate it. Thought it was funny. Then we got my buddy Canuck in his 2 accounts, both on Facebook and on YouTube. But he did write on Facebook, fighting in football, I thought hockey was the only sport where fighting is allowed and appreciated. Now, when I first read that comment, Canuck, I realized that I was talking about team sports, so maybe we need to clarify where fighting is allowed and appreciated, because, when I came on and I was talking about how I don't think that football players should be fighting on the field, I didn't clarify that and I was comparing it to hockey, but I didn't clarify that I'm talking about team sports. And hockey is the only one that I can think of in terms of where fighting is allowed and appreciated in terms of a team sport. There probably is another one out there that I'm not aware of. But if you think about it, if you want to talk sports, then you got to also bring up boxing, MMA, and wrestling, possibly. I don't necessarily know too much about wrestling. So if you're a wrestler and you're like, hey, wait a minute, that's not art, no. I'm just talking off the top of my head there. But it made me realize that, fighting is allowed and appreciated in other sports as well outside of hockey. And I don't necessarily know if you and I both realized that at the time we had this discussion a week later. So just something to think, a week before. So just something to think about. So that will go with Facebook. We will now move on to YouTube. I got 2 comments from the Packers recap video, which the first one's from Pigpen, strong follower, appreciated, man. He says, now with that over, then a bunch of dots, he says, it's winning time. I really hope you're right, because this is a good portion of the schedule for the Seahawks to make up some of those games that they've lost at the beginning of the season. So I really hope you're right, but starting with this week. Jude Steves, again, Ian, also known as Canuck on YouTube. He says, as expected, the Packers beat the Seahawks, and as expected, Seahawk fans are flooding my Facebook newsfeed with their whining about everything not in Seahawks' favor. Super annoying fans can be when the Hawks lose. Get over it, Seahawk fans. You're not going to win every game, even if you want them to. be realistic and understand there are games the Seahawks are just going to lose. Look at the bright side. You return home next week to face the Bears. I think, I want to be very careful when I say this. Because I don't want, a bunch of, the floodgates, in terms of people saying, hey, what the heck is going on? Why are you putting us down? But I have noticed in general from football fans that they have a tendency to be a little bit more whiny compared to other fans. Whiny and aggressive. Because I don't just see this from Seattle's point of view. I see this from every single person who follows the NFL. But I think, when the team loses and, they start pointing at reasons why they lose and they're complaining, whether it's a call or something the opposing team did or how their team played. I think that, however, comes with the sport. And the reason why I think that is because, I know I'm representing, we're talking Seahawks, and I'm representing the Mariners here, but I'm more of a baseball guy. And I do not see as much whining in baseball as I do, or whining, again, or complaining in baseball as I do in football. But I think that's got to deal with how many games a baseball team plays compared to the NFL. The NFL has the ideal setup. No matter what, unless the NFL does something incredibly stupid or one other professional team gets ridiculously smart and can find a way to get on the NFL's plateau of marketing and following, the NFL has the perfect setup. They broadcast their games during prime time. Sundays are the most watched or most viewed television day of the week. They market their games on Thursday and Monday very well. There's storylines, but there's also the lack of games. In hockey, basketball, and baseball, you get anywhere between 82 to 162 games a year. As I mentioned before, I am a junior hockey league fan, so I can get 76 Seattle Thunderbird games throughout the course of the season from the end of September to mid-March, pending playoffs. And because of that, it doesn't give a lot of time for fans to really reflect on how games are going. Because when a baseball team wins, your attitude for maybe the first couple hours is, oh, okay, this is awesome. We won. Now let's go get them tomorrow. And then you wake up tomorrow, next thing you know, there's that excitement of that one victory, and now you got to play the next game. There's not a really lot of time to create a lot of storylines to create a lot of storylines in baseball and hockey, whereas in football, you have a week for all that buildup, all that hype, all that energy and emotion. And so I think that's the reason why football fans, I don't want to say whiny, but I think football fans are a little bit more emotional when their teams lose, because they're just basically being built up and they're building themselves up with all this high and all this, whether it's positive or negative emotions, and all of a sudden it just all comes out on Sunday. So, yes, I can see where you're coming at from the Seattle perspective, but I've seen this everywhere. I've seen this from New England fans, Cleveland Brown fans, Dallas fans, Green Bay fans, and these are people I know. These are not people who are like the random angry USC guy, I'm talking about USC, which is no longer on YouTube, which is unfortunate. But I think that's the reason why there's so much emotion that goes throughout a game day for football. And another thing, too, is, when I was in the Husky band, I'll, go on this little tangent. When I was in the Husky band, if the Huskies lost, it was a terrible feeling. The reason why is because I was in the band, and if there was a football game, it was a full day. Things may have changed based on, things may have changed since I was in the band, which is fine. But when I was in the band, you had about a 2-hour rehearsal, I want to say about 5 or 4 hours before game time. Then you had lunch. Then you had the Husky huddles, so you performed for, people drinking beer and alumni. Then you had your pregame, then your game, your first half, your halftime, then your second half. At that point, the Huskies, either would win or lose. Then you would have something called, the post-game performance and fifth quarter, which I don't think they do anymore. Correct me if I'm wrong. And then after that, you had something called sixth quarter, which was optional, which was basically going out to the tailgating parties and playing for food and drinks. And we would all go, and we would after performing, the Husky alumni or Humba or whoever would provide food for the band, and we would perform and have a good time. But that's a really long day. I mean, we're talking 10-hour days. So because of that, there's all this emotion and all this rah-rah and all this, all these ups and downs and the roller coasters and that. So I think it's because of that, because of how there's not that many games, how long football game days can be, and all the build-up leading into a game, why football fans, in this case Seattle Seahawks fans, which Canuck mentioned, can be built up to that emotion. So that's my response in regards to Seahawks fans being whiny. I don't really mind the Seahawks fans blew up. They blew up on my Facebook page as well. But when I see that, I just think, it's just what football fans do. So again, that's just my take. I hope that I explained it in a clarifying way, so that way I don't get a bunch of, why are you putting down football fans? There's no crying in baseball. I know, you don't see me crying over the Mariners losing again. Anyway, okay, so that will take care of the Packers recap. Next up, we have from the Bears preview. We have a new person who viewed. We have a guy by the name of Gabriel. If I mispronounce your last name, I apologize. Gabriel Salita. He writes, "We'll be fine. We got the next 2 games at home, and we got Cam back. # Go Hawks." First off, thank you very much for commenting and watching. Secondly, yes, getting Cam Chancellor back is huge. That video was filmed on Monday and uploaded on Monday evening, and that was before the news that Cam Chancellor was coming back. So that is really good. I mentioned before in my St. Louis video that Seattle had a very difficult time containing St. Louis's middle passing game, in terms of they had the corners knocked down for the most part, but they had a very difficult time defending the middle of the field. And yes, that was the first game of the season, but I'm really hoping that that can be fixed and put a bandage on now since Cam is back, because that's huge, because now the original LOB is in full swing. So that is good. Last comment, we got another one from Jude Steves 87. Canuck, the Seahawks should win this game easily. If they lose or struggle versus the Bears, then I'd say Seahawks fans would have reason to panic. I look for a big game by Jimmy Graham. You would, since you're a Saints fan. Anyway, as I said before, I personally haven't pressed the panic button, but my finger is on the panic button because of reasons that I said in that video. Okay, so thank you very much for watching and responding. Keep the comments coming. Feel free to sub. If you want to respond to anything in this video, you're more than welcome to, and we'll keep the conversation going from there. Otherwise, I will recap the Bears-Seahawks game tomorrow night. It will be late. It might be posted up on Monday morning again, just because after the Seahawks game, I'm actually going to the University of Washington's volleyball match, and I need to be there at approximately 4 o'clock, which is about when the Seahawks game is going to get out. And I'll be doing stuff, officiating stuff at the UW game. So, but I will get it up. Thank you very much for watching. Go Hawks, and let's go beat the Bears. We'll see y'all later.